Okay, onto the Google updates. So this month, because there's a number of Gemini updates, there's 5 or 6 Gemini updates, we're just going to go through those first. Firstly, Gemini reports. So if you have Gemini licenses, you can now have granular level reports on how your users are using that. And it's across app. So you can see, are your Gemini users using it in Google Drive? Are they using it on Google Meet, Google Docs, and so on, or the Gemini chat window? And you can see full metrics of how your users are using Gemini. Really interesting, good to see that. Important, especially if schools are looking to trial Gemini, because then you get actionable feedback on which users in your organization are actually going to benefit from the tools. The quick update here is Gemini now in line with responses. If you do put something into the Gemini chat window, the response will have a little arrow which you can unfold, and it will show directly links to results on the web as well. So again, combining that sort of Gemini trained model alongside search instances on the web as well. This was announced a while ago, and we saw a bit of a slow rollout. I know we talked about this back in May or June, I think. Additional data protection for Gemini when using a school account. This is both for the paid version and the free version. You should see a pop-up. Users should see a pop-up. And you can see there that with the G banner, this one here, you can see that's what the pop-up will look like. It's kind of hard to see on this, but you'll also see at the top and at the bottom of the window, it will reference within Gemini, it will reference the new protections that Google has rolled out to schools, to education. And basically the protections are Google is not reviewing content, it's not human reviewing content, and it's not using content for training their models. Any education data is retained within your Google account. Oh yeah, quick update. Yeah, actually, Gemini and BigQuery. So there are features of Gemini coming to BigQuery. So if you're doing that high-level stuff within Python and SQL code generation within BigQuery, there are Gemini features coming out as well. Okay, custom gems. Actually, I just want to share this. So Peter and I went to a lot of work last month to do a Gemini demo. And then one day later, Google announced a couple of big new feature releases. So if you go to Gemini, so this is on the paid version of Gemini. If you go to gemini.google.com, you can see the Gemini app, and you can type in your prompts down here. Well, on the left-hand side, you have something called Gem Manager. And if you click on Gem Manager, you have 5 or 6 pre-made gems. These are pre-made by Google. So for example, we have the Brainstormer gem, we have the Writing Editor gem. And if I click on that, with the Writing Editor, you can drop in, you can paste in your text, and it will check your writing for grammatical errors, style guide, and so on. If you're curious to see how they made these, you can, just by, let me unfold that one, you can make a copy. You can make a copy of any of these custom gems. You can change the name, but you can actually see how it's been created. So we can see down here, we have a number of fairly complex instructions on how this gem was created. So you can see in this particular one, we have a purpose. Your purpose is to assist me in in editing my writing. It's got goals, direction, step-by-step instructions, and so on and so on. So you can see quite complex instructions for that. These can all be edited, and you can create your own writing editor. But beyond that, just exit out of that, you can actually make your own gems as well. So if I click on New Gem, and I'm going to say Executive Assistant, for example, and this can, of course, be anything. Assist me in writing email replies on behalf of my CEO. So for example, here's my very basic instructions. Assist me in writing email replies on behalf of my CEO. Of course, that's not going to yield very good nor contextually appropriate results. But anyway, we're going to leave this instruction here. There's a button just down at the bottom. You can use Gemini to rewrite these instructions. And so what Gemini will do is take those very basic instructions and rewrite them and come up with those more complex instructions that we saw in the writing editor. Once we have these more complex instructions, then we can go back and add some context. For example, we could add in here the name of the school, the name of the organization. You can add in specific information related to the CEO in this case, and so on and so on. Once you've finalized the instructions here, you can actually test the prompt. You can type in a test prompt, and then you can save it. And once it's saved, it will appear as a custom gem. And you can see all of these down here. I've been playing around with these. I was doing one for parents meeting. I can upload grade reports and it will come out with a sample script for grade reports. Gemini Trainer, Gemini Advisor, and so on. These are all my custom gems. So that is custom gems. Okay, additionally, a few weeks ago, Gemini was updated the ability to upload a variety of different documents, so text, PDF, CSV, and so on. Google Sheets, basically most files that I think we work with on a daily basis, in addition to images as well. If you upload an image with data inside of it, it does a great job of using OCR to recognize the text within the image. Somebody was asking recently, well, what about the context window? What about the context window? How big a document can you upload? I believe the context window has a size of 1 million, and you can upload a PDF up to 1,500 pages, I think it was. Anyway, probably beyond what we can actually process. So it's a huge context window. So certainly for the sort of documents you're normally going to be uploading, it's more than large enough. More than large enough. Yeah, I think Chris, C. Bleakley, yeah, you just put in the chat, can gems be shared domain-wide? No, you mentioned that they can't. No, they can't yet. Again, we suspect there may be an update to allow gems to be shared. The recommendation for that is to create your instructions, put them in a doc, and share the doc with your team so that then users within your domain can copy the instructions and create their own custom gem. But it seems to make sense given Google's strengths around collaborating and sharing that gems should be able to be shared as well. So we'll see what happens. Okay, just a quick update to Gemini and Gmail, just a better interface for using the help you write and refining emails within the mobile and the web versions using Gemini. And then for anybody with Gemini Education Premium, the Take Notes for Me feature is now available. You'll see if you're on Gemini Education Premium with the Meet features, it's a button that pops up in the top right-hand corner of the window, and then you hit that, and then after the meeting, it will create basically notes of the meeting, including what people said. It's more than transcription. It will say the action points of what people said, and you can use then Gemini to create a task list and a number of different things. You can see the format on the right-hand side there. It will include the artifacts of the meeting, if files were shared, and so on. It's actually pretty cool. It's really, really useful. Okay, on to the regular Google Workspace updates. A number of updates to share out after all of that Gemini stuff. Finally, I think this update has been due for years. Embedded, I don't know why I'm so excited about this, but if you go to a school website that's using Google Calendar is such an easy way to manage school calendars, but it looked old. So finally, Google has updated it. The new embedded calendar is using Google's Material Design 3, and it's just basically better accessibility features, improved spacing. It just looks better. So it modernizes that and brings it up to date. So you can see that. You can see the web version, a mobile version. This has needed an update for years, I think. I don't remember the last time they updated this. So that's great. So if you are using Google Calendar, those embeds will be updated. If you're not, probably a good time to revisit and see if Google Calendar could be used for your organization. Okay, this was just announced earlier this week. There's a new beta available that restricts access to folders in Drive. So if you have shared drives, people ask this, Can you have more granular control of folders and files within shared drive? Yes, you can. So now it's at a beta at the moment. You can use the form. It's linked here to sign up for this. And so if you have a shared drive, so it's shared with a group, then you can have granular control of folders within that shared drive. And people often ask about that, and now this is available. So I think this matches probably some of the features on other platforms. Again, this is a beta you need to sign up for. So if you want to do that, go back to this slide and you'll be able to click on the form. Okay, Google Slides has received some updates recently. Actually, in Google Meet in general, Google Meet has a pop-out window now. If you're in a Google Meet and you change tab, Google Meet will pop out in the browser in Chrome. Additionally, Google Slides has an update to better support multiple monitors. So if you've ever, probably everybody here has, you probably presented at a meeting or an event, you put your slides on the main screen, on the main projector, and you're looking for the meeting notes or the speaker notes or whatever it may be, and it's hard to find if you're just duplicating your screen. Well, with Slides now, you can enter presenter view, so you have presenter view on your primary screen, and then you can just have the slides on your secondary screen playing, and that's all enabled within Google Slides. Looking forward to trying this out in Korea next week. Okay, Google Meet hardware. As usual, let's skip that update. Okay, and then there's an update to Google Workspace Marketplace app publishing, but I think we can skip that. Okay, Google Cloud Directory Sync. If you're using that, it now, excuse me, losing my voice, it now complies with conflicting accounts management settings. So this is fairly new. If you're using GCDS to create new users, sometimes it may encounter unmanaged accounts, conflict accounts, and it will better, it will comply with those account settings. So if you're in GCDS, this is well worth looking at. Okay, so this is already existing in chat spaces. This is file management. So if you share files, if you add a link, you will see those files in the shared space within a Google Chat space. Well, this is also coming to one-to-one conversations and group messages as well. So if you have a one-to-one conversation, you share a file or you share a link, you'll now have a tab which shows all of those files and all of those links in one place. Just the same way that chat spaces work. Google Drive had an update. They've had a few updates the last few months. There's been there's now a new homepage. The way that the new homepage works, it will better show file and folder suggestions. So a couple of new tabs there. If you just reminding myself, yeah, the activity tab and the workspaces tab are fairly new over the last couple of years. Well, now the homepage is receiving sort of a better layout, and you can customize what files or folders you're seeing. Okay, this is huge for schools using AppSheet. So as a reminder, if you're on Education Plus, which most schools are now, then you have AppSheet core licenses included for free. So there's different versions of AppSheet, AppSheet Core, AppSheet Enterprise. Well, typically AppSheet Enterprise has the more complex enterprise controls. Well, now AppSheet Core customers are also receiving an admin console. So you can probably see from the animation here, you get access to see a list of your apps, a list of your users, what your users are doing, the activity within the app, and so on. And that's in the AppSheet admin console. Really essential if you're using AppSheet in your organization, really essential. And it's going to be the only way to really understand who is doing what within AppSheet. So that's coming. It's an open beta. You don't need to sign up for it. It's an open beta, so you should be able to see that. There is a direct link, actually. If you go to this slide, if you open up this updates deck, there is actually a direct link to this. So go to the slide, you click on the direct link. Or you can access from the admin console as well. Okay, so this was announced a few weeks ago. So Google has been improving the profile of users. So if you're using Google Cloud Directory Sync, then you have AppSheet core licenses included for free. So there's different versions of AppSheet, of users recently, so you can add in a lot of more information there, and it's much more visible. In addition to that, you now have the ability, you can allow users to set and share their personal pronouns and their name pronunciation as well. Again, this is decided on the admin level. You have to enable this. It is off by default, but it can be enabled for all users or a subset of users. Okay, so adding pronouns and pronunciation of names can now be managed by users. Okay, actually, funny enough, I noticed this on my personal account, not on my work account just yet. There's now, within Gmail, there's a little, if you're on Gemini, there's a little Gemini button on the mobile version of Gmail, which opens up Gemini on mobile. Strangely enough, I didn't notice it on my work account just yet, but that has launched. Personally, I find the Gemini features the most powerful when you're working on mobile because you can do so much. Okay, we spoke earlier about the Take Notes for Me feature, and I just talked about all of the meeting artifacts. Well, this is coming to regular Workspace. It will send, or it can send, all the different meeting artifacts combined into one, a consolidated email. So if you have a recording set up, file shared, transcripts, and so on, that'll all be consolidated into one meeting. One email. Okay, similarly, Gemini on Android, again, the mobile version, just improvement to that. Okay, don't know why that's there. That's to education. We can move past that one. Oh yeah, I mentioned this earlier. We were talking about Google Slides, a picture-in-picture. I really like it. I know somebody yesterday I was talking to said they didn't like it popping up like this. I think it's really useful. So if you're in Google Meet, it will pop up in a new tab. If you switch tabs, Google Meet will pop out. You've probably seen this, and picture-in-picture. So if you have to be on Google Chrome for this to happen, and you can see how that works. So rather than having to switch between your tabs to see your meeting, you can be working in one tab, and then your meeting will pop out. Okay, so back in Google Cloud Next, this was announced, and it's the ability to use advanced workflows using IFTTT and UKG flows. What it basically means is you can launch automations from Google Chat. So for example, the classic example is if a new user is added to a chat or a chat space, then you can then launch an onboarding workflow, for example. So there's lots you can do here. It'd be impossible to summarize everything that can be done here, but using that UKG Flow app and Google Chat, there's a number of automations that can be done. Super interesting to check out. Okay, didn't even notice this was announced. This is the sending emails about your files to collaborators from a sharing dialog. That's received a couple of improvements recently. If you click on a file and click sharing, it's been reorganized. And now there's an email button. So email your collaborators directly within that. And new host controls for add-ons in Google Meet. So if you're using add-ons in Google Meet, you have new host controls so that your hosts, contributors can share add-ons as well. That's all within Google Meet. Smart chips. Haven't talked about smart chips for a while, but I was talking about project management with a school yesterday, and they're asking about project management. Well, smart chips now give you the ability to bring in third-party data. The examples given here are Lucid Spark, Lucid Chart, Zoho projects. So you can bring in third-party data. So for example, you might have a workflow or a mind map or something else in one of those external platforms. And by using smart chips, you can actually bring them in to your documents now. So smart chips are really powerful. All your smart chips can be launched with an @ sign. So if you're in Docs or Sheets, for example, type in @ and you can see smart chips pop up. Okay, I think we talked about this low latency streaming for Google Meet. I think we talked about this already. And I can't remember if we mentioned this last month, but I know we shared it out a lot. If you're on Google Classroom, Google's now enabled student groups in Google Classroom. So previously, as a former Google Classroom heavy user, to creating student groups and differentiated groups in Classroom was not the easiest. This is a well-needed update to Google Classroom. So now you can create student groups, you can differentiate the work that's being assigned, and it'll carry through between assignments as well. Really good update there. And multi-party approvals, I've got a feeling we maybe have mentioned this last month. Multi-party approvals is so for example, if you have a sensitive setting within the admin console you want a little bit more visibility to, you can require that action has another party to approve it. And so in this case, it's the domain-wide delegation. So that is coming to multi-party approvals, and that's how it works.